Ah, bollocks.
Good evening one and all, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. Coming to you 8:30 on Friday, slightly later than I normally make these things. But I just had a few bits and pieces to do after work tonight. So yeah, I trust you've all had a decent week. I've just been stupidly busy, mental busy at work as per usual. But I shouldn't complain. What have I been doing? Have I been playing any games? Been playing a bit of Left 4 Dead 2 on the on the Xbox 360. Ava and myself have been playing just split screen, really good fun. Funny thing is, we've been playing a lot of Left 4 Dead 1, the original, which we really enjoy, and I was quite looking forward to playing the second one. And interestingly, we actually found that the characters in the second one were just really annoying. There's two characters in particular are just really annoying, to the point we were kind of thinking about not playing it. But it's meant to be a better game, so I think we'll need to try and stick at it. But it's interesting how you can get a game, and if you don't connect with the character you're actually playing, it can sometimes be enough to put you off. I know there's been games in the past where I simply don't like the lead character you're playing, and it's enough to, stop me playing it. But I've been doing that, not been playing much else, been busy making videos. Yeah, what did I do? What was the video I put together? Yeah, one of my 8-bit face-off kerfuffles, which seem to be proving quite popular. Good fun to make. They're like a wee mini Arcade Perfect My Arse, but I only look at 8-bit versions, which is a lot quicker and easier to put together. But what was interesting was one of the games, or the game I looked at this week, Super Pipeline. I played it on the C64, one of my favourite video games of all time. It really is such a good game. What was interesting, the Amstrad one, it was ported to the Amstrad and also to the Spectrum. On the Amstrad, when you're going up a pipe, now I'll put a wee link above to the video I'm talking about. If you're going up a pipe on the Amstrad one, the Amstrad programmers decided to be clever and make you go behind the pipe. And the same with the baddies, when the baddies are going up and down a pipe, you actually go behind the pipe, which makes it virtually impossible to play because you simply cannot see, you can't see the baddies, and when you're going up, you don't really know where you are. And it seemed like a really, really bad design flaw. Why would programmers take an original game and introduce that, which has just ruined it? But what kind of got me thinking about, I've always thought that when companies like Ocean, they would bring out a game for, I don't know, maybe half a dozen different systems, I always thought that there would be a kind of blueprint that would be given to each system programmer and say, right, here we go guys, this is what you need to do, this is what it's got to look like, and you would then get sort of the version on each system. But some games, there was games like Cobra, for example. The game that came out in the C64 and the game that came out on the Spectrum are two absolutely, utterly different games. Well, maybe that's not entirely true. Both are platform, but that's about all I've got in common. I mean, the C64 one is an absolute travesty. I got that, my mate bought me that for my Christmas one year. I think it was about £9.99 actually, and it's a bloody god awful game. But the Spectrum version is fantastic. It was programmed by the late and great Joffa Smith. It's a fantastic platform game. It's probably one of the best Spectrum games that you can get. But it just always amazes me how they bring out a game for different systems, and sometimes the game was nothing like the other versions. I've always found that slightly odd. I thought they would have to stick hard and fast to sort of rules, guidelines, so that each of the games were quite similar, but obviously not. I don't have a hell of a lot to talk about, and I see that every single week, and I usually talk on and on and on and on and on. Anything current. The only current thing I'm going to mention is PlayStation VR. Excuse me. Now that's due out October. It's actually due out next month. Now I did pre-order it through Shop2, which are quite a good video games website. I did pre-order it. Now I think it's going to be, is it 340 quid, something like that. I've not paid for it yet, but I've got to say I'm going to cancel the pre-order. Why? I don't know. I'm not convinced that it's going to be much more than a novelty thing. There's been too many of these sort of gizmos over the years. I mean, what did we have? We also had the Wii U, not the Wii U, we had the Wii controller, which was pretty good. I mean, that was very successful. But then you had was it the Play, what was it called? Play Toy or something? Play something or another. The little black camera thing for the PlayStation 3. That, it utilised the Wii, the controller things. That really didn't do very much. Then you had the Kinect for the Xbox 360, and again, I mean, I bought it, and I needed to practically rearrange my living room to get enough space to try and use it. So needless to say, it became one of these things that I used it once and I never used it again. And from what I'm gathering, the Kinect camera for the Xbox One and the camera for the PS4, there's really not that much. I mean, these companies bring out these bits of hardware with the intention of this console becoming this all-encompassing sort of machine that you can talk to, you can tell it to switch on, switch off, play a video, whatever it is. But sadly, the reality of these things just isn't that great. I don't know whether the voice recognition thing isn't as good, but I mean, one of my mates, he's got the camera for the PS4, and it sits there completely unused. I don't think you can even remember the last time he actually used the thing. But I'm kind of getting away from the subject a wee bit. I just think that these kind of things, unless they're absolutely flawless in performance, which are definitely not, I think they always just become a bit of a novelty. And I think the PlayStation VR is going to be similar. If it had come in at a lower price point whereby every PS4 owner would buy one, then it may have been successful, or it may be successful, I should say. I honestly think that it's not, I mean, it'll probably sell by the bucket load, but at 350 quid, it's still going to be something that it's going to be die-hard gamers, or people maybe, similar ages to myself, maybe a wee bit younger, people who've got that wee bit more disposable income, they'll probably go out and buy it. But I don't think it's going to be as big a seller as they would hope. And because of that, I honestly, and it saddens me to say this, I honestly think that there won't be that many games coming out for it. And another part as well is the fact that I know the community is kind of split about this PlayStation 4 Pro, whatever it's called, 4.5. I think the fact that, I mean, Sony have said they're bringing it out because it supports 4K TVs and that kind of stuff. But part of it as well is it's more powerful. I don't know how much more powerful it is because they think that's going to be the machine that people are going to want to use for VR. Now, the fact that they've recognised that you need a more powerful machine, I think would indicate to me that they feel that the existing PS4 won't be up for the job of running games. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're going to get some probably nice, simplistic looking games, but you need to understand for a system to be able to do VR, it needs to basically produce the game twice. You need it twice, which is going to take up twice as much processing power. So I think the fact that they are bringing out a superior machine to do that tells me that the PS4 may not be, up for the job of it. So that, plus the fact that my little Samsung VR thing, now I feel a bit of a hypocrite because when I first got my Samsung Gear, I absolutely raved and raved and raved about it. And don't get me wrong, I still think it's absolutely fantastic. If you want an introduction to VR, then go and get yourself a Samsung. If you've got a phone, excuse me, if you've got a compatible phone, then go and get it for 80, 90 quid, whatever it costs. You know, you can get yourself a slice of VR action. You can get to see what all the fuss is about. And as a novelty thing, it is fantastic. But I've got to say, that thing has sat up there for probably the best part of 6 months unused. And I really, really think that if I was to go down the road of buying the PlayStation VR, that it'll probably not get used. So for that reason, I'm not going to be getting it. Saying that, I tried to log into my Shop2 account, and for the life of me, I could not get in. Even changing my password multiple times, I couldn't log in. So I might end up getting it purely because I couldn't physically cancel the order. But so yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it works out. I mean, don't get me wrong, if it pans out to become a really massive success and there's some awesome games, then I may well jump in, but I'm not going to be an early adopter like I thought I was going to be, you know. So the other thing about the PlayStation 4, and I know it's probably been talked about to death, one thing that does concern me slightly is, it's like anything, when they bring out a new piece of hardware, any piece of hardware is only going to be successful if companies support it. Now it's going to be one of these awkward ones. Software houses are not going to support a better system if they don't stand to make any money. So it could be that you buy your PS4 4.5. I mean, don't get me wrong, can I say here and now, if you've got a 4K TV, then absolutely go and get your PlayStation 4.5 because you'll be able to enjoy. I don't know, does it upscale the games? Does it make them look better? I'm not too sure. If it does, then, you know, by all means, you're buying this superior machine and you're going to get to kind of enjoy the enhancements it's got. But if you're buying the 4.5 to get to see new games, brand new games, I would be worried that you may not get to see that many. On the flip side, if this is going to cut out, I'm back in a second. Yeah, sorry about that. The camera just ran out of space here. Yeah, it does slightly concern me that those people that buy the 4.5 may not get the support, you know, new games, because at the end of the day, the companies are only going to manufacture for a platform that's popular. And if not many people buy it, then I don't think the support's going to be that great. On the flip side of it, if they do decide to concentrate on making 4.5 games, does that mean that the games for the original one are going to fall? I don't know. It's a tough one, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to sit on the fence for a while, see what happens with the VR thing. If it turns out to be a killer app, and there's plenty support, then I may well jump in. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, listen guys, I want to try and keep this short if possible. Now I've got a few questions again. Thanks very much to everybody that's takes the time to ask questions. Again, as I always say guys, you know, I couldn't do this without you, because I do struggle week in, week out trying to think of stuff to talk about. There's only so much, you know, old stuff you can talk about. Pardon me. Right, to kick things off, we've got Batman. He's asking, how about your most disappointing console, computer purchase or machine that was hyped and everyone seemed to love, but one that didn't really float your boat? Or possibly a machine that you acquired, had relatively low expectations for, but it ended up being an essential part of your collection. Hey, oh bloody hell. Disappointing console, computer. That was hyped. I can't think of any No, I don't think I've ever been disappointed with a machine that I've bought. But one console that I got rid of it because I simply didn't really like it, and that's the N64. I did buy an N64 when it came out. I think it was in 1996. You know, like everybody else, I saw the Mario 64 game, and you know, I rushed out and bought it. And yeah, that was a really really nice game. Still is a really nice game. I mean, it's epic looking, plays really well as well. But that was possibly the only game on N64 that I actually liked. People raved about GoldenEye, and I thought even back then, back in the day, I thought it just looked shit. I know it's not all about. I mean, you know, that's rich coming from me when you see some of the games that I play. But I just felt that I didn't like the graphics of GoldenEye. I found it too fiddly to play. And any other games that I saw in it, there was just really nothing for me at all. People went on about Zelda, all these games, how epic they are, and it did nothing for me at all. And then about, when would it be, a couple of years ago, I bought another N64, and I got the EverDrive cartridge for it, you know, which effectively gives you access to every game. And I could probably count in one hand the number of times I actually played the thing. Just, I don't know. I always just felt that it was the one console, probably more than any other of that kind of generation of consoles. I just felt it just looked rubbish. It looked really, really rubbish, especially on modern TVs. Possibly if you're playing it on a CRT TV, it might look better. But I don't know. I just thought the graphics looked really rubbish. And because I didn't play many games on the N64, there was nothing that drew me back in. I mean, yeah, in you know Mario 64, that's about the only game that I would probably actually play in it. But I had the EverDrive cartridge, I had the console, and I ended up selling it. So that's the one console. Well, that plus the NES. They're the two machines, the two sort of well-known machines that are missing from my collection. I've not got any thing with to rush back and get an N64. Never played it. Never really played it when I had it. So I don't see any point in wasting money getting another one. The NES one, because I never had an NES back in the day, I had my Commodore 64, and you know, I always felt that looked just as good as the NES. I never had any real connection to it at all. But to get back on track, any machine that was disappointing or disappointed, the N64, I just didn't get. You know, I had it. It just wasn't for me at all. Like I said, that's the one that I got rid of it recently because I simply never played it. But on the flip side, a machine that you acquired and you had low expectations, but you ended up really enjoying it. I'm probably, you know what? I'm looking at two of them. But you know, I'm going to go for this one. I'll lean across and get it. Where is it? Where have I put it? Oh, you know what? It's down there. Doesn't matter. It's the Amiga CD32. Now, the Amiga CD32 was considered a big flop by Commodore. It was Commodore's attempt to kind of jump on the console oblique CD bandwagon. You know, the things like the CD32 were out. Not the CD32, the CD TV, the, what do you call it? The 3DO. But the 3DO as well, I'd probably say the 3DO and the Amiga CD32, both were relatively considered flops. I think I think the 3DO done marginally better. The CD32 was definitely a commercial flop. But having owned both of them for about a year, I love them to bits. It's basically, I mean, the Amiga CD32, it's a 1200 Amiga computer in a very, very small form factor. Games are lovely, you know, being able to just take any plug and play Amiga games for it, it's fantastic. So I really enjoy it. In fact, my mate Dave actually, he gave me a big ream of games for it. There's some kind of copies here as well, but R-Type, What are types? What's this one here? Saint Dragon. He gave me Choo Choo Rocket as well for the Dreamcast. What else? Team 17 Anthology. I mean, having all these games, what have you got here? Alien Breed, Full Contact. I can hardly read that because it's so dark in here. Project X. Plus a ween of other delightful copied games. So yeah, I really like the CD32. It was considered a massive flop, but I think it's an excellent machine. And it's the same with the 3DO. That wasn't really, I don't think that was termed a success, but it's got these really kind of niche wee games. It's very much kind of a product of its time, and I love being able to play these things. You know, maybe comparing them with, like, I don't know, the PlayStation. The games look pretty pish, but I don't know. I like wallowing in the whole sort of history of these machines. So yeah, I'd go for the Amiga CD32 and the 3DO as being two machines which I wasn't expecting very much from, and as it turns out, they're actually machines I played quite a lot. So anyway, listen, Mr. Batman, thank you very much for your question. Moving on, Retronic Collector, Tony. Thanks for your question, Tony. What's the first ever game you ever played? Bloody hell, first. Now, if we're going to talk arcade game, I'm old enough to remember Pong. I did have one game of Pong at Edinburgh Airport, probably 1977, something like that. I had one shot of it, I think. But as far as video games go in the house, it would be, well, again, I had a Pong machine. It was a Binatone machine thing, which was boring as anything, but proper, I mean, I suppose that is termed a proper machine, but if we're going to move away from that, it would have to be, my mate brought along his Atari VCS, and we played it one night, and it was, what was it, Combat. I think Combat was the first proper video game I ever played in the house. It wasn't a system I ever got to own, unfortunately, but that would be the first video game I ever played. Combat on Atari 2600. What got you into gaming in the first place? Playing Combat, I would say. Now, the funny thing is, I got to play my mate's Atari 2600, and I nagged my mum and dad to death to buy me one, but they told me straight off there was no way they could afford one, so I knew I'd never ever get one. But I used to always watch adverts on TV for it, and I always think I would love to get an Atari 2600. Then when I started working, I'm trying to think how this came about. Yeah, there was a magazine. A magazine came out, which I've shown quite a few times in various videos, called the Home Computer Course, and it was basically talking about different computers. And I bought this. I didn't even have a computer at that point. I bought this magazine, and my mum and dad eventually said they would buy me a computer, and they bought me the Texas T19940, which is not the greatest computer. But then when I got a part-time job, I saved up and I bought a Commodore 64, and that was it. I mean, I had mates who had the Commodore 64, I had mates who had Spectrum, but because I was there right at the very cusp of this fantastic hobby of ours, it's hard to put into words just how fantastic this thing was. You know, we'd gone from just watching TV, your 4 TV channels, 3 TV channels, whatever it was, and suddenly here was this box that you could plug into your TV and you could play Space Invaders. I mean, we'd all seen Space Invaders in the arcades, and to be able to play these machines, play these games at home, it's hard to, you can't put into words just how exciting that was. So yeah, getting my Commodore 64, that was the world opened up. The window for video games in my life opened up big style, and here I am, 40 years on, probably over 40 actually. I still love them just as much as I did back then. So yep, there we go, Tony. And the last part of Tony's question is, what's your favourite retro computer between the Commodore 64 and the Spectrum, and why is it? It's going to be the Commodore 64, because that was the computer I first owned. But as I've said quite a few times, I mean, I used to poo-poo the Spectrum as a toy. I used to play my Commodore 64 and we'd go to my mate's house and he would load up Beachhead on his Spectrum, Bruce Lee on his Spectrum, and I just used to, I didn't laugh at his face, but I always, he used to say to me, do you want a shot? And I'd be like, nah, it's okay. Because I would look at it and think, that is shit, that looks absolutely shit. So I had no interest in the Spectrum. Compared, as far as I was concerned, compared to the Commodore, it just looked crap. But I own quite a few Spectrums. I've owned the original Spectrum hardware for quite a few years, and I've got to say the Spectrum is a fantastic little machine. Yeah, the case and the actual outside hardware wise, it looks pretty crap. The keyboard's rubbish, especially with, you know, the 48K one, but some of the games that it put out were just awesome. It had a superior processor to the C64. So, you know, if I'd got the C64 and the Spectrum at the same time, it would have been a tough decision, but I think I've got to go for the C64 because that's where all my memories lie, you know, so it would have to be the C64, but the Spectrum is a fantastic machine as well. So anyway, Tony, listen, thank you very much for your questions. Right, down the rabbit hole, Kev. I don't think a Friday Waffle would be a Friday Waffle without Kev's questions. Excuse me. My brother was asking me the other day if I intend on upgrading my equipment and software for doing my YouTube videos. I said to him it doesn't seem worthwhile until I get a significant number of subscribers, but then again maybe I'll get more if I had a more professional footage. What do you think? You'd probably come to the wrong person, Kev. I mean, you just have to look at my videos. I'm sitting here recording this on a mobile phone. Now, as I've always maintained, YouTube videos, well, you know, I don't think the important part of a YouTube video isn't the presentation style. I mean, it's all about content to me. Don't get me wrong, if the picture quality, or more importantly the sound quality, is crap, then people aren't going to watch it. Now, there's two YouTubers that I enjoy watching, and I'm sure I don't mean this disrespectfully in any way, but Lone Boys Post 1975, his production values are they're about the same as mine. He uses I don't know what kind of camera, but you know, they're not the greatest. It's not the greatest quality wise, but Dave's videos are up there with the best. I mean, you just have to look at how successful he is and how popular he is, because the content that he puts out is brilliant. And the other video is Retronic Collector Tony. His quality isn't the greatest as far as the camera goes, much like myself, but it's all about content. So I don't know, personally I think the quality of your videos is absolutely fine, Kevin. I'm not talking about the content, I'm talking about picture quality, sound quality. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's one of these things, yeah, if you've got a better camera. I mean, the funny thing was, I was actually looking yesterday, I got a thing through on Facebook, and it was something like the top 10 vlog cameras that people like to use. And there's one, and apparently PewDiePie uses it, it's like the Canon something or another, I can't remember exactly the make and model, or it was a Canon anyway. And I had a look at it and it was like 500 quid. And you know what, as much as I would like to have a better camera, you know, because a lot of my videos are blurred, you know, they're not the greatest. Would I want to spend £500 in it? Probably not. One thing I'm going to improve on is the sound. A few people have said to me that the sound quality of my videos isn't the greatest. So I'm going to, I think for my Christmas, I'm going to ask for one of these Lactobacillus Prime. He actually recommended one. I can't remember what it's called. Is it Yeti? Something like that. It's a big desk microphone. I'm going to get one of these and use that. But I don't know, Kev. I think it's one of these things. I wouldn't go rushing out and buying an expensive camera and expecting sub levels to suddenly jump, because it's all about content, mate. And I think you're doing absolutely fine. However, you just have to look at somebody like Monkey Spaz. He's got a really good camera and his videos look way more professional. So yeah, I think if the content's there, the quality of the content's there, then having a better camera is only going to improve your videos all that, you know, much more. But I don't think you're going to really get a lot more subscribers based on it looking better. I might be talking complete bollocks because, like I says, I'm sitting here recording this thing on a bloody mobile phone, so I'm probably not the person to actually advise. But it'd be interesting what other people think. You know, how important do you rate sound and video quality? Would you unsubscribe or would you not subscribe to a channel because the quality is, you know, the actual picture quality is rubbish? I do know, and this is again, this isn't a criticism. Like Tobaccolist Prime, I mean, Mark, he's one of my good mates. I struggle to hear him sometimes. The volume of his videos, even when I've got it turned up full, I sometimes struggle. And I mean, I still watch his videos, but it can be frustrating if you're watching a video and you're struggling to hear the person speaking. Mark's got quite a sort of low voice anyway. Not like me, I've got a bloody loud Scottish voice. But yeah, I could see that being a disadvantage if people can't physically hear what you're saying, whatever, you know. But aye, I would say if you've got the money, Kev, go for it. It's not going to, having a better sound and picture quality is certainly not going to hinder the videos any. You know, it's just going to make your videos look nicer. But I don't think there's anything wrong, you know, your current setup. But like I said, I'm probably not the ideal person to comment. But anyway, listen, Kev, thanks again, appreciate that. And lastly, Mr. Retrohawk, what's your take on console modding? Do you have any? If so, what is your favourite one and why? Console modding, I've got quite a few. I mean, if you're talking about, I've got a lot of these EverDrive cartridges, which technically that's not a modded console, that's just a cartridge. What you're talking about is fitting a chip. Now, I've got a couple here. The Xbox, the original Xbox, which is just sitting below the camera or the phone, it's got a chip in it which allows me to put in a much bigger hard disk. I've got I think is it 750 gig hard disk in it, which allows me, I've got something like 200 games on the hard disk. The same with the Wii U, it's got a chip in it, it's got the homebrew channel on it. I've got a disk drive there, a hard disk with about 200 games in it, and it's the same with the PlayStation 2. In fact, my Sega Saturn, that's got a chip in it as well, so that technically plays backups. I mean, you know, some of the games go for silly money for these kind of consoles, but yeah, it's having chips fitted to these things is great, because most of these machines you can't buy games. You can get them second hand, I suppose, but the big advantage to me is if you've got a chip, generally it means you can download games and play them for free, which I don't have a problem with. You're not denying anyone any money in any shape or form, so I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, and plus as well, I mean, I've got a Sega Mega Drive. I've got an EverDrive cartridge for it. In fact, the Sega Mega Drive and the SNES, two of my mates put the PAL NTSC switch in, and the difference is phenomenal. You put on Street Fighter on a PAL SNES and you've got the big black borders, you know, top or bottom. Flick that onto NTSC and it's like night and day. It plays, I don't know how much quicker, it plays maybe 25% quicker. Full screen, it's just night and day, it really is. So yeah, modding consoles is an excellent thing to do, you know, as long as you know what you're doing. It lets you kind of use the hardware in a way that was never intended, i.e. running games off a hard disk, or in the case of my SNES, it means that I can play like American games, you know, the way they were intended, sort of thing. So, yep. And second part, excuse me, have you been following the progress of the Vampire card for the Commodore Amiga? Sadly, the maker has chosen to withdraw making them due to various negativity they have received, as they had to raise the price due to production costs. It got me thinking, for such a great pastime, there was a lot of bickering and stuff in forums and Facebook groups. Is this something you have come across, and how do you deal with it? You know what, I think it's like, it's not even this hobby, it's the medium in which we're actually using this, i.e. the internet. It's the easiest thing in the world for somebody to sit at another end of a keyboard somewhere and just be abusive. I mean, the best example I can give you is, you know, what I'm doing here. I'm making videos for YouTube. Now, I've been quite lucky. I don't think I've ever had any real nasty people. But there are a lot of the more popular channels, they get a lot more viewers. And some of the abuse that they get from people posting is just unbelievable, you know what I mean? And the thing is, because it's the easiest thing in the world to sit behind a keyboard and be offensive, mega critical, you're always going to get that. And I don't know, I think when you get into a kind of quite a niche market, I was saying niche, I mean retro sort of video games is not a niche market, but when you get into kind of old hardware, you've always got these people who know better, you know, and they're very critical about things. I mean, I've had people, you know, criticise my videos about you should do this, you should do that, you should make more of an effort to, you know, why don't you make it more of an effort to learn the instructions of a game? Why do you jump in and play it? You don't know how to play it, nah. There's always people that know better. And you've just got to, at the end of the day, it's their opinion. It's difficult to stop them, but the best thing to do is just completely ignore them. You know, everybody's entitled to an opinion, sort of thing. So I think it doesn't matter when you get something like, you know, this vampire card. I think, is it some kind of graphics? Is it like an accelerator board? I think I have heard of it. It doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to get people that run the thing down. They'll just badmouth it, or they're negative. That always happens. I mean, look at, you know, the case in point. Is it No Man's? I can never remember the name of it. No Man's Sky. That game that's just been released. It's going to turn into one of these games. I mean, I think the problem with that game, it was hyped beyond belief by the developers, and they made certain bold claims about things you could and could not do in the game, and quite a few of them never came to fruition. So in some respects it's their own fault. Oh, pardon me. Windy pops. Excuse me. But a game like that can live or die by the power of the internet. You know, people just it's the easiest thing in the world for people to criticise things, and other people read about it and they'll act in a certain way because of what other people say, sort of thing. So to kind of get back to what you're saying, you'll always get that. It's the easiest, like I said, it's the easiest thing in the world for somebody to sit behind a computer or a laptop and just type abuse, this is crap, and that's why you eventually get people. I mean, there's been other things, I can't think of any example. There's been other things in the past that people have simply decided to not bother because of the abuse they're getting. And you know what, at the end of the day, if it's, you know, we're all human beings, and if I was getting dogs abuse, personal insults on Facebook all the time, not Facebook, on YouTube, then I would probably just knock this in the head. It's not worth it. And obviously the company that's making this this video card thing, they've probably had enough as well. So it's something that you're always going to get, regardless of whether it's video games, films, sport, you name it. You're always going to get people that know better. You know, that's just the nature of the beast. So anyway, I'm looking at the clock there, and I've got about 2.5 minutes before this thing runs out yet again from memory. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. As usual, thank you to all the fantastic questions. I really couldn't continue doing the Friday Waffle without these questions. Please keep them coming. Thank you very much to all my new subscribers. We're getting there. We're heading towards the 1,000 subscriber mark. Well, I've still got another quite a few yet before I get there, but it would be absolutely brilliant if I could get there before Christmas time. And I promise you, I will absolutely be doing, if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will definitely be putting together 1,000 subscribers special. I've got a few ideas that I want to do. I'll probably have some kind of competition thing as well, where you can win something. So that is it, guys. All that remains for me to say now is have a great weekend, and thank you very much for watching.